Welcome to Improve Your English Writing, video number 37, where I'll be discussing the dash, and I'll be covering the specific topics of an abrupt break or afterthought, which is rule number 24, a sentence element with internal commas, which is rule number 25, series at the beginning of a sentence, rule number 26, and emphatic substitution for a comma, colon, parentheses, or semicolon, which is rule number 27. If you'd like to get notifications for the series, please click subscribe. If you like the video or think others will find it useful, please click like. And check out links to videos and books in the description, like a link to the companion volume there. So rule number 24. Use a dash to separate an abrupt break in thought or an afterthought at the end of a sentence. Here's an example of an abrupt break. Ethan exited his truck and jogged, ran to the overturned car engulfed in flames. So here we have an abrupt break talking about Ethan jogging or getting out of the truck and jogging, but then the sudden shift or break to running. So we put a dash right there because it's an abrupt break. An example of an afterthought is, many things changed this year, dash, mostly for the better. So this is an afterthought tacked on to the end of a sentence, and how you punctuate that is you put a dash between them. Let's move on to rule number 25. So a dash may separate a sentence element that contains internal commas that requires separation with punctuation. So usually that sentence element is non-essential, and if the break with dashes is too strong, consider using parentheses, because what happens is that when you have a sentence element that has internal punctuation and it itself needs to be separated with punctuation, your only two choices are parentheses or the dash. And the dash makes a strong break, and the parentheses de-emphasize. So we'll cover that in a future video. So you may use the dash. So just here's an example of an incorrect way to punctuate. We, comma, Tom, Sue, and Bill, comma, form the legal team. So once again, here's we have the sentence element that contains internal commas that itself needs to be separated with punctuation. Well, you can't use the comma because you're already using the comma to separate the elements. So this is incorrect. What you do is you use a dash, or you could use parentheses, but this we are covering the dash now. So, but you do have the option to use a dash, which emphasizes the non-essential or usually non-essential element being separated. So we dash Tom, Sue, and Bill dash form the legal team. And here's another example. The witness, reluctant, soft-spoken, and nervous, described the single suspect. So once again, we actually have a sentence element that needs to be separated, or already contains commas that needs to be separated with punctuation, and we can use the dash. So rule number 26 is use a dash after a series of items at the beginning of a sentence. So here's an incorrect example. Tom, notice I'm just using the same sentence and putting these elements in different spots. Tom, Sue, and Bill, comma, form the legal team. Now we can't, this is incorrect. We cannot punctuate it this way. Basically, we already have commas here, so we can't separate this series at the beginning of a sentence with a comma again. So we need to use, in this case, we need to use the dash to separate it. So once again, use a dash after a series of items at the beginning of a sentence. And here's, you've seen this when I did rule number 25. So here we just put the series at the beginning, reluctant, soft-spoken, and nervous, dash, the witness described a single suspect. rule number 27 is a dash may be used as an emphatic substitute for a comma, colon, parentheses, or semicolon. The dash creates a strong break that emphasizes the following sentence element. That is the purpose of using the dash, or when you use a dash in this situation, you're using it as an emphatic substitute. Basically, you're emphasizing the element that follows. And this emphatic substitute for the comma, colon, parentheses, or semicolon should be infrequent and deliberate. So you don't want to overuse this method of punctuation. So it should be infrequent, and you should do it knowingly. So let's look at an example or two. I guess it's on the next slide. Oh, that's right, because we had several for a comma, colon, parentheses, and semicolon. So let's look at an emphatic substitute for each case. The comma. The information I sent is correct, and you know it. So actually you have a compound sentence which would normally be separated with a comma, but you want to emphasize this element here, so you can use it. You can use a dash as an emphatic substitute for the comma. And here's how you do that. Let's look at the case for the colon. Brandon has two big problems hurting the case, dash, the previous perjury, and a criminal record. So normally, or what you have here is you actually have an independent clause followed by a list, just a list of two items. So we just put an and between two items. And here, the person, if you'd want to emphasize the previous perjury and the criminal record, this is how you'd punctuate it. So you'd have Brandon has two big problems hurting the case, dash. So you just take, since you want to emphasize it, you would normally use a colon, but here you want to emphasize what follows, so you put a dash, and you're actually emphasizing the previous perjury and the criminal record. The semicolon, I counted all the masks. There are only 50 left. You can notice there's a theme, a pandemic theme running through some of my examples. I did write everything during the pandemic. And here you actually have two independent clauses. There's no coordinating conjunction, and they are relatively closely related in my opinion. So you could use a semicolon here. But in this case, you wrote this, you wanted to put a semicolon here, but you wanted to now emphasize that only 50 are left, because that's a low number, then you could put a dash. So I counted all the masks, dash, there are only 50 left. So parentheses, example, is the Atlanta sales team, we consistently outperform them, thinks they finally beat us. So this, we consistently outperform them, could be enclosed, or would normally be enclosed, or you have the choice of it being enclosed in parentheses if you want to de-emphasize this element here. But the case you have here is this element, we consistently outperform them. You want to emphasize that, so you would separate it from the rest of the sentence with dashes. So the Atlanta sales team, dash, we consistently outperform them, dash, thinks they finally beat us. So that's a emphatic substitute for parentheses. And that's it for this video. If you want to get notifications for this series, please click subscribe. If you like the video, please hit like. Check out links to books and videos in the description. Thank you.